Afternoon now. I'm Jonathan Howard. I'm going to be moderating the Innovation Code this afternoon. I'm the creative director of MC Forum, which is a marketing and creativity training center in Israel. Now, I'll tell you what, I'm very happy actually to see a backgammon board on stage here. I'll tell you why. I trained as an archaeologist, and I found out that the Babylonians invented backgammon about 5,000 years ago, in about 3000 BC. The reason why they invented it was specifically, and this is true, I'm not making it up, they invented it to teach their kids that you can't control the dice that you throw. The only thing you can control is your response to the dice that you throw. It was a moral lesson, it was moral education for Babylonian children 5,000 years ago. Even back then, they understood the delicate dance between what we can control and what we can't control. And so much of innovation is about trying to control the uncontrollable. Now, the Babylonians created the world's first cities as we know them. They created the template for modern cities, the education system that we follow, most of the systems of governance that we follow, the idea of professional specializations that we follow today. It was all created by the Babylonians, and we haven't changed it very much. We've evolved it slightly, incrementally. We haven't really changed it much, and this is a big problem. Why? Because I found out that the reason why the Babylonians created the world's first cities was crowd control. Everything in a city was set up so that the king could control the people. Cities and religion, very, very similar in their function. Partly it's crowd control, and partly it's helping us to manage the experience of being human. But it was about 90% crowd control, and very little helping us to manage the experience of being human. These days it's changed. Now the Jews were the first real innovators in cities, because the Jews came along and we absolutely broke the rule in about 2000 BC. Cities had already been going for a long time, and their secret that kept them going was the belief that the king is a god. Everybody believed the king was a god. And the Jews came along and said, he's not a god, he's just some guy. And this was a serious scandal. This is why they started trying to kill us. Now, this was the first act of what Israelis call chutzpah. It was the first act of serious cheekiness. And we've never stopped being cheeky. We've never stopped having chutzpah, and that's where innovation comes from. It comes from the refusal to recognize limitations. There's destructive chutzpah, which is just about being rude, and there's creative chutzpah, which is about breaking down barriers, and so many Israelis have this creative chutzpah. Shai Agassi with Better Place. Everybody said you can't do better than a hybrid car, you can't have a pure electric car, and he said, yes, we can, we'll figure it out. An Israeli paraplegic who couldn't walk, he invented a machine to help him walk again. That's chutzpah. He totally refused the limitations that fate had placed upon him, and thanks to his chutzpah, thousands of other paraplegics all around the world can now walk again. That's Israeli chutzpah. Now I teach creativity and chutzpah, actually teach chutzpah, to companies in Israel and outside of Israel. It's great fun trying to teach Koreans how to have chutzpah, how to be cheeky. What's really interesting, though, is that there are algorithms of the thinking that don't rely on social behavior, that don't rely on a cheeky attitude. You can be the most obedient, most hierarchical person in the world, and if you adopt these algorithms of thinking, you will have fantastic ideas. And especially if you share those algorithms with the people on your team, and you're all operating in the same way, you will have fantastic ideas. So this afternoon, we're going to see how some organizations, including cities themselves, are helping the world to cope with this transformation that we're going through, which is that we're now at this stage where cities are flipping. They're switching from being places that are mainly for crowd control to becoming places that are mainly for helping us to enhance and optimize the experience of being human, which means that the impetus for change is coming, the momentum is coming from the people in cities, not from City Hall. That's a very, very uneasy relationship. And this afternoon in the Innovation Code, we're going to have a look at how some organizations, how some cities, and how some very visionary entrepreneurs are helping to bridge the gaps between the public sector, who want to control everything, the private sector, who want to make change, who want the creative progress, who want the disruptiveness. It's a very uneasy relationship, like I said. It can be worked out, and we're going to see this afternoon how to work it out. Now we're going to break for lunch. After lunch, we're going to hear from Ragava, our keynote speaker. I'm looking forward to that, and then we're going to have the Innovation Code. So thank you very much indeed so far, and thank you very much indeed to our speakers. Have a great lunch. See you at 2 o'clock. And I think we've just seen that very clearly. But as humans, we're quite vulnerable psychologically. We need the right conditions for progress to flourish. We need to be given a second chance if we screw something up. All kids are given second chances when they mess things up, except at school. Tel Aviv is a second chance city. It's often referred to as the startup city. Let's be honest, all of those 66 original families were people on a second chance. They weren't born here. And the people who came here, people who tried to make their dreams come true, whether they were escaping persecution in Europe or whether they had some other dream, they were all on a second chance. They had some experience that they put into action. Now, the success stories are the ones that gained traction and momentum from other people, got other people interested as well. This is true of every kind of innovation, every kind of breakthrough idea. Even hundreds of years ago, it was true in the UK. The Royal National Lifeboat Institution is the lifeboats, the people who go out and rescue you if you're drowning at sea. It's now the Royal National thing, right? So it's got government funding, it's supported by the royal family, hundreds of boats they have. But they started as just a few fishermen who realized that people were drowning, so they went out to save them. And then it became a little bit more organized within the community, just a little bit more. They'd start volunteering to be on guard, to be on duty, you know, and to be on watch. And then the royal family and the government found out about it, and then they started supporting it. And the lesson from that story is that they didn't support the lifeboats because people were drowning. They supported them because people were being saved. So if you've got a problem, find a solution, then ask for help, and you will get help. Now, here's a wonderful example of someone who came to Tel Aviv on a second chance to build a startup or to build a new life, whatever, is building a wonderful, wonderful startup which is all about helping other people to get second chances, all about filling those gaps in the potential for progress within this city, which government either can't or won't help with, isn't set up to help with, but someone has come along, actually from abroad. Somebody has come along. Andrea Kruchik Krell has come from abroad, and she's going to tell us about Microfy, giving people second chances. Thank you very much, Andrea.
Okay, so I came from Uruguay about 9 years ago. Uruguay, it's pretty calm city. It's, how can I explain? People are very chill there. They dress all the same. They talk about the same topics. I've been here 9 years, and people are still talking and complaining about the same things. And I wanted excitement. I wanted something different that I couldn't find. So I came to Tel Aviv. And here I found that if you're an Orthodox Jew, you can roller skate, it's fine. If you want fresh fish from the market, you can go and get it yourself, you know? If you love eggplants, then you can share it with the world. And if you think that you're Jesus Christ, for sure you'll find people to follow you here in Tel Aviv. But I also saw some things that I didn't like so much. About 5 years ago, I was studying economics at Milan, and I was obsessed with microfinance. And I was studying about Africa and how microfinance made a huge difference. And then I realized that Africa was actually here, 10 minutes away from my house. So I'll tell you a bit about these people, because many people maybe don't know there are African refugees here in Tel Aviv. They come from Eritrea and Sudan, and they come mainly by foot. They arrive to the border with Egypt. The army soldiers take them to a detention center, and from there to the park, this one. And then that's it. They need to find a way around. And I realized there was no one helping them get on their feet. So I decided that I wanted to change this because I didn't like it. So I started a microfinance organization that helps them create small businesses. And this is what Microfy does. First, we have business training where they learn how to do business in Tel Aviv. Then they get one-on-one consultancy in order to be able to make this into a feasible plan. And those ideas which are potentially successful, they get funding. They get small loans of about $2,000, and they start their small businesses. And you know what? All of them so far have paid back their loans. So many people ask me, okay, what business can you start with $1,000, $2,000? So they started restaurants, internet cafe. Jetu from Congo, this one, she started a beauty salon. Maria Jose and Olga started a catering up there. Ali from Darfur started a store. Gabriel, a supermarket. Ismail started a computer center. And all this just with the small loans and giving them some dedication. And what's amazing is that these people that are, you know, they're seen as such a burden, right? Because they're like 60,000 coming to Israel. They can become the country's biggest assets. Faida started a kindergarten, and she won the only ever international microfinance award that Israel was given. I also have the chance to travel around the world with the Microfy, and it took me to Sandbox Industries, where I learned a lot about how to start businesses. So I came back to Israel, talked to someone here at the college, and helped create the Start Hub. This is in the economic building, the building next door in the 3rd floor. You should take a look. But you know, we are all made by our surroundings. You can't just, out of the blue, well, some people can, but I felt that being in Tel Aviv, it inspired me to want to live in a better place. You know, Jesse started Open Tel Aviv. He's an urban planner, and he saw that suddenly all these buildings were coming up, and he wanted to know what was the urban planning of the city, so he created a platform to democratize this process. A friend, Dan, saw all this pollution coming into our beautiful beach in Tel Aviv, and he took a picture, and boom, Facebook, and now all the organizations are talking about it and trying to change this. Tess, she loves, she studies environmental studies, and she wants to make a compost. So she started a garden in our neighborhood, so now we can put the compost there and create our own vegetables. So what I'm trying to say is that we can't wait anymore for the leaders and governments to see the things that we see every day. We don't want to come out of our homes and see trash everywhere, or see homeless people sleeping on a doorstep. We see a problem, we point it out, boom, we can create a change. So what I mean is, come out of this conference, spot the problem that bothers you, show it to the world, and create a change. Thank you.
Hello. So Albert Einstein once said, another great Israeli, of course, Einstein, we love claiming everybody, don't we? We claim, as long as they were Jewish, we say they were Israeli. It reminds me of Colonel Gaddafi. He actually claimed that Shakespeare was an Arab. Sorry? Even Jesus, we claim, was Jewish, was Israeli. Yeah, Colonel Gaddafi actually claimed that Shakespeare was an Arab. He said his name was Shakespeare, and he actually expected us to believe it. Einstein said, when I work on a problem, I never think about beauty. But when I find the solution, I know that if it's not beautiful, then it's wrong. Which I thought was quite interesting, because most really good solutions are so elegant that they are kind of beautiful. Not only that, but there's something I've noticed about startups in general, and Israeli startups in particular, which is that a lot of them are not very aesthetic, not very beautiful, partly because they've found some kind of an algorithm that they've developed that works. And that's the functional core of what they have, and they don't believe in the importance of making it attractive. They don't believe in the importance of telling the story properly, of enrolling people emotionally, making people fall in love with the idea. Well, if you can learn how to make things attractive, then your ideas will get a lot more traction. Your ideas will get a lot more receptivity in the marketplace. Now, I don't know about you, but let's have a quick, I know who I think are the best in the world at making things beautiful. Who do you think, a quick show of hands, who do you think are the best in the world at making things beautiful? Shout out some names. Who? The Italians? Okay, hands up, who thinks the Italians? Quite a few. Okay, who else? Scandinavians. Hands up, who thinks the Scandinavians? A few, okay. This is the French? The French? So the two French people over there. The French. Well, I think it's the Italians. My money's on the Italians. There's a reason why Pininfarina has been designing things for a long time, because they know what they're doing. I believe they're among the very, very best in the world at making people fall in love with things that they probably wouldn't otherwise notice. So here to show us how they do it, please welcome from Turin, from Pininfarina, Matteo de Lise.
Thank you very much for the beautiful introduction. And I'd like to thank also Eitan and the mayor and the Tel Aviv Municipality to allow me the opportunity to speak in front of such a distinguished audience. The idea of this presentation is to explore the relationship between design and global cities, and in particular to see it from the perspective of Pininfarina, for which I'm responsible of strategic partnership, business development and marketing globally. These are just a few references. The main purpose is to show the variety of sector in which Pininfarina is active, and it's so important for a designer to have a wide perspective and being able to convey different experience, different background, different innovative research into a project. Very quickly, because I thought for this presentation to be less, let's say, academic and more experimental. So the idea is to explain and to show how design thinking can be leveraged to work on innovative solution and to generate ideas that can be iconic, can reinforce the identity of a city. Design thinking basically means balancing several key elements like the people, which means focusing on desirability and usability of a product, matched with the feasibility from the technological point of view, and the business viability. So, but since design is a human-centric activity, what we always start from is trying to understand the cultural context to define the needs, aspiration, in this case of a city and its citizen, providing innovative and effective solution that then has to be advertised, especially outside of the city, in order to become like an international icon. So I have three conceptual examples to show you. I have 1 minute each, so I will go very fast. The first I called Lighthouse. Basically, it's based on the very simple concept that all the most iconic cities in the world, they have some buildings, some infrastructure that makes them very quickly associated to their image and to their identity. For the city of Tel Aviv, we thought that the vision should have brought something that is iconic but also sustainable and convey entertainment for especially the tourists. So this is less made for the citizens of Tel Aviv, but more aiming to create a touristic icon, something that all over the world will know about Tel Aviv. I would not go into the details, but you get an idea from the image. The second, it's called Platform. The idea in this case is to create a platform that the main application is for urban transportation. And the aim is to convey also all the technological expertise that there is in Tel Aviv, and in Israel in general, and so to convey a platform that can be again sustainable. If before we were talking about sustainability by sourcing from tide waves and the power of the sea, in this case we were thinking about energies coming from the sun. But the point is to convey and to glorify the startup inclination and the technological expertise of Tel Aviv, conveying all kinds of information also from the citizen into, for example, a bus shelter like this that is able to provide a platform of information about all the transportation of the city, but also information that the municipality wants to deliver to the public. And finally, this is a synthesis of the main concept that we understood are very important for Tel Aviv, and so iconic, innovative, and sustainable, and in this case sustainable but with direct reference to transportation. Again, many important cities in the world, they are famous for their iconic and innovative transportation system. With regards to Pininfarina, we are, let's say, responsible for the one of the city of Paris, in which we have created, I think, the largest platform of electric car sharing in the world by designing, engineering, and manufacturing this electric car that now has been started to be delivered all over the city since last December. I would like to conclude by saying that an integrative design approach, it means that you deliver a solution that integrates maybe urban transportation, technology, and also iconic architecture. And so by having a mastermind of a design
So when you think about Pininfarina, it's a very big, global, iconic company. It's very easy to think, well, what have I got to do? What can I do? Little old me, what can I do? But the secret of Israeli innovation is, or the secret of Israeli startup, part of the aspect of chutzpah is the belief that, yes, I can do it. Just because I'm a guy that I'm not a hurdle, that doesn't mean I have no right to do it. This is a very Israeli mentality. And our next speaker is a wonderful example of somebody with a social conscience who saw a problem, who wanted to solve it, and there were no solutions. And instead of saying, well, all right, I'm going to complain, and I'm going to write letters to politicians, and I'm going to shout, and I'm going to, whinge and moan about it, he said, I'm going to do something about it. At the same time, his story is a wonderful example of the power of a cluster, the power of having the availability of all the technological resources and help that you need in a small place, in a relatively small place in the Tel Aviv area. Most of us in this country and in this region of the world don't take fresh, clean drinking water for granted. We don't assume that we're always going to have it. We value it. We know how special it is. In a lot of places in the world, they value it even more because they don't have any at all. In some places in the world, they really don't value it at all because they think it's like air and they'll always have it. The fact is we won't always have fresh, clean drinking water, or at least we wouldn't until Itay Zamir came along. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome onto the stage Itay Zamir from Woosh Water Systems.
Joe. So my name is Itay, and I'm the founder and CEO of Woosh Water Systems. And I would like to begin with my personal story that led me to open this firm. So 4 years ago, my oldest son, Yair, was born, and I was walking the streets of Tel Aviv with him and the trolley for hours and hours. And it was then one time that I finished my water in the bottle. And then I had two options, either to go and drink from fountains, drinking water fountains, or to go and buy bottled water, plastic bottles. Both of them were problematic for me, and I will explain in a minute. And then I realized that has to be another way. There has to be a new, sustainable way to drink water in the public domain. And today, I would like to share it with you, and actually it's the first time I share it to more than a few people. So let's begin. And before we talk about our solution, let's talk about the problem for a minute. Let's talk. And the problem is that we are drowning. We are drowning in plastic bottles, right? 200 billion of them manufactured annually. Small percentage is being recycled. And the reason, number one reason in the public domain is that most people won't drink from fountains, drinking fountains on the streets. They would go and buy expensive bottled water. This can be up to $3 maybe. And it causes an environmental disaster, right? 200 billion are manufactured annually. By the end of this presentation, 2.5 million more will end in the landfills, and they are not so healthy. And in the context of the municipalities are forced to deal with unnecessary plastic litter. So they put them in ugly metal cages on the streets and ask why. why to generate plastic in the first place? Let's eliminate plastic. Let's not drink from plastic. Imagine we are drinking from plastic. It makes no sense, right? So I would like to present our thought, our positive drinking thought of how should we drink in the public domain, on the streets, when we're out there. That's forward thinking, that's innovative. And I would like to present you our Woosh machine, Woosh water station, the first drinking water vending machine specifically designed for the public domain. We should walk on the streets, take our reusable bottle, and approach this system, and this system will serve us cool, tasty water. I will feel safe, I feel safe. And it will cost less than bottled water, or it would be for free. It's up to the municipality to decide. And I will feel safe because we have developed, Woosh developed a water purification system specifically designed for the public domain to ensure that the water meets the highest standards and tastes good. And then to ensure that the water that gets out of this system is in the perfect condition. Also, we link this purification system to a unique bottle cleansing system. You will be able to disinfect your bottle on the spot. And it's attractive design. That's an iconic element standing in the street. And to conclude with a positive user experience, something up to date. So what we are offering today is the new way to supply drinking water in the public domain, cities, universities, public schools, wherever. And the concept is not 1 or 2 or 3 stations, but a network of stations deployed all around the city. Why? The idea is to get people to convince them that they can stop buying plastic bottles. Just walk with your reusable bottle, and on every corner you will find a station that will supply you safe, tasty, cooled water, and you can disinfect your bottle on the spot. And in that way, also cities that already banned bottled water, like San Francisco or London, will be able to locate an alternative to plastic bottles. And cities that want to ban bottled water can do it now. And this is our concept. The idea is wherever I look, I can find a water station. So for cities, the benefits are cities without plastic bottles, cities that can reduce the carbon footprint that the city generates. They can reduce the expenses on recycling and transportation of these bottles. They will be an innovative global leader. That's a green thinking. And they will make the citizens happy. Citizens of this city will pay less for bottles. They will think, this city doing something good for me. They will improve their health because the water will be more available. So, 5 months from now, I can tell you that we're going to deploy our first network of stations in this city, Tel Aviv. And yeah. And Tel Aviv city took up the challenge first. And I invite you to talk with us after this presentation and to learn what city will be next. Come and join our global revolution. Thank you.
Hello? Hello. I don't know about you, I'm thirsty now. It's good we got glass bottles, not plastic bottles. Israeli startups are getting better and better at presenting, aren't they? It's really good to see. It's really, really good to see. That was a super presentation. Thank you, Itay. Well, we've heard from the
presentation about what is from a big company like IBM, smart city concept, and we are not at the same level, but we can discuss with the big company about what is a smart city and what we want, what the city wants to start a new process, a new path in order to have a smarter city. And the agro-food sector, agro-food is very important for us. We will have in 2015 the international exhibition on agro-food, on food and energy for life. These are our goal sector, let's say, and what kind of action we started for helping business creation, network of incubators, co-working spaces, grants for innovation, etc., integration with urban regeneration and incubators. This is a very important point because we try to help economic development and linking the development, economic development with the changement of the city, with the renewal of the city, and putting specific activities in the related area can help to move the peripheral areas. We focused also on micro enterprises with using a national law providing financial support to micro enterprises, microcredit, and with two aspects: social microcredit, that means for each person, or microcredit for company, for micro company, and guarantee funds. This morning we talked about a lady, probably a lady from Amsterdam, mentioned the triple helix as the base of the innovation process. I think we have to talk about the penta-helix added to the world, the research world, the business community, the public system, also other two players or other two actors, citizens and association of citizens, third sector, not-for-profit, etc., and the business communities able to finance new services. We want to foster these three aspects: public-public partnership with Chamber of Commerce, private and public partnership. Private partnerships is also another very important because the connecting agents, helping people and communities to work together are also a strong point for us. This is, I don't have any time more, few figures about our partners, some resources. The Municipality of Milan put on the table 10 million euros, plus kind of public leverage with other public partners like the Chamber of Commerce, and we expect to double this with the private investments too. We expect big things, a strong effect from a national law that was just published in beginning of September, providing 200 million euros for startups and incubators. Thank you.
Again, yes. Thank you very much. So, traffic in Milan. How many of you have ever been to Milan? So you know the traffic in Milan is not great. The food is fantastic. The fashion is fantastic. The traffic's not great. Mind you, who am I to talk? It's not great in Tel Aviv either, is it? And it's not great in London. Well, there are some things that City Hall probably should do, but can't because of legislation, because it's not within its remit. There are some things that City Hall could do but can't because it doesn't have the resources for it. These are the situations when local entrepreneurs jump up with a solution of their own. And our next speaker did exactly that. He had a solution which has now gone beyond his own country where it started. It's now big in several other cities around the world as well. This is a classic example of an Israeli startup success story that comes from an individual trying to make the problems of living in cities better. Please welcome onto the stage from Get Taxis, Shahar Waiser.
Hello, everyone. I won't talk about taxi today, but what I like the most about Get Taxi is that little magic we do. Actually, you click the button and get a piece of metal where you are. So it's maybe one of those examples where we promote technology because it's the first time you connect the online world with the offline. And this little magic, that's what makes people also happy and like to use it. So since we launched a year ago, we've been driving all around the countries, and today we're in 4 countries, 18 cities. And we like changing the lives of people who use Get Taxi today. So basically, it's very simple. Some of you maybe who live in Tel Aviv already tried that. At least we believe that almost everyone who has a smartphone today should use Get Taxi. It's really changed life. But basically, it's one button click to make complicated things simple. You click the button, and after 30 seconds, we find you the right driver who's close to you, and you see the driver exactly where it's come. And by the end of the trip, you can pay with a click of the button. And the vision behind Get Taxi was always being, how can I make this magic of having your own phone and using taxis in your own city, but also travel in other countries, other cities, and having your phone on your language without knowing where you are, knowing the streets, and just click a button and get the taxi. Today, this vision, just 18 months after we launched in Israel, Tel Aviv was the first, today become reality. When you travel to London Olympic Games, maybe it's a little bit late for Olympic, but if you travel just to London, you can, in Hebrew, Russian, English, any language, you can use Get Taxi, click a button, you get a taxi. In Israel, it takes 3 minutes to get your cab on average. It means it might be even a few seconds, it might be 5 minutes, but on average it takes you 3 minutes, and it's that simple. In London, one of the largest cities in Europe, it takes us 5 minutes to bring you a cab. It's usually when you just, you ask for the check, and before getting out, the car is already there. I don't have a car in London or in Israel, I just use Get Taxi, and it's become truly replacement for my private car. That's the reason, by the way, we promote the shared economy where you use public transportation such as Get Taxi instead of your own private car. We like to see that people also like our vision and they share the same, and it makes the city better because just people use it on a daily basis. We start to see that, actually that's surprising. Everyone who used taxi, Get Taxi at least once, continue to use it more than 93% of people continue to use Get Taxi more and more. And actually, that's the point where it's become replacement for your private car instead of looking for the parking and dealing with the driving. You can have a work, you can make calls, you may rest, you might do whatever you want. It's basically like you're having your own car with a driver. So some big companies love the vision the same, and they become our exclusive, we become exclusive vendors for those companies. We love to see it all across countries, Moscow, London, Israel. Now we are ready to launch in New York, which is basically not a simple city, but we come. So this is how it looks in Russia, cold city, but we found it very difficult to work in Moscow because if any of you have been there, it's really not a simple task. It usually takes 45 minutes if you order a taxi to get one. With Get Taxi, just 6 months after, we bring the car in 12 minutes. That changed the entire behavior, how people use it, so they really start to use taxi instead of their own car. This is beautiful London cab, black cars. So as I mentioned, 5 minutes you get any of those, anywhere in London. So many who travel to London actually experience Get Taxi, and then you take it with them. And as I mentioned, the view is that you will be traveling to New York, London, Paris, any city, Milan, of course, and you can use the same Get Taxi on your language. So this is Israel, of course, we're emotional. This is just a little present to you. Some of you who didn't yet use Get Taxi, you can download it for free, use this code SUMMIT, and you get the first 50 shekel on your balance, so you can try today and use Get Taxi from here and start using the public transportation. Thank you so much.
Great. So I'm going to be the first. So there's 19 spaces left. Well, we've had a look at what citizens do. We've had a look at what governments sometimes do. What about the link between them? What about the collaboration between them, the ability for them to be able to talk to each other, the ability for city administrators to be able to understand what their people are doing, but also what their people are saying? I've got friends who are addicted to Facebook and Twitter. I'm not. I mean, it's like watching somebody being addicted to crack. They're absolutely addicted to it. And you go out for a coffee with them, and they have to get back online because they have to know what's going on with all the people they like, with all the followers, with all the people they're following. But what about the mayor of a city? What a nightmare for the mayor of a city. He really wants to know what everybody's saying about the city, about the amenities, about the infrastructure, about problems. Wow, what a nightmare. If only you could put all of this information together and find out what on earth is going on within a city, it would be fantastic. Well, thanks to IBM, it's pretty much possible now. So Harry Hornreich, the the development manager from IBM Israel Software Labs, is going to explain to us how City Pulse works. Please welcome Harry Hornreich from IBM.
Thank you very much. So actually, I wanted to work for a small company. I don't know how I ended up at IBM. But actually, Yossi Valdi has a small part to do with it, but I won't tell you the whole story right now. So I have a team that works at IBM, and although we work for a large company, we try to be innovative, creative, and the nice thing about IBM, you can do it globally. So when we heard about Smart Planet, can we see what I'm showing now? Can you see that? So when we heard about Smart Planet, we were starting to think how we can actually participate in that. And then we came across a survey that was done by IBM and some MIT students that said that one of the biggest issues that cities have is communication between the city and the citizens. And we thought, how can we actually help with that? And that's how we came up with what we call City Pulse. The idea here is to improve the communication between the citizens and the city, provide transparency in the city to see what's going on, and actually get people engaged. I think that's the most important thing, to get citizens excited about what's happening in the city, know what's happening in the city, and participate in that. So I'm going to show you how we do that. So what you see here is the website of City Pulse. You can imagine it could be for any city. In this case, it's actually New York. And I'm going to zoom in here. You see a map, and you see all these flags here on the map. And this is the Lower East Side that Robin was talking about. So you see there's red flags and blue flags. So if I click on a red flag, I basically see a service request, and this is what we decided to focus on. We decided to focus on the area of non-emergency management for the city, but this technology can actually be used for many things. And what you can see here is that are all the reports of the citizens that they reported for different things: illegal dumping, street lights out. You can filter here which categories you actually want to see. But cities actually gave us feedback and said, you know what, we don't just want to see the bad things. We also want to show people the good things. And that's the blue flags, which is just an example of what you could do here. There are many things you could do, but a good example is, for example, I clicked on this one. You can see a library innovation. You can click on it, get some more details. And I'm sorry I can't move around too much, but because I need to click. But basically, you can see you get more information about this specific activity of the city, how much it costs, when it starts, when it finishes, and you can basically feel part of what's happening in the city. One thing you can do is provide feedback, which is something that we've added, which we thought was very important. You can click here that you like it, just like you can do on Facebook. You can add your own comments, and the city can then take that into consideration. Actually, this is much more important. If I go back here, just 1 second. If I go back and click on one of the service requests, that actually becomes much more important, because then the city, by clicking on the vote to fix or by adding your own comments, which you can see here at the bottom, that actually helps the city decide which service requests and which problems to fix first, which is very important. Another thing that you can do as a citizen, you can say, you know what, I don't want to just report things, which I can show you in a second how to do that. But I actually want to get notified when things happen in a certain area. So I could go and mark a certain area like this, and then I could add it to my favorites, or I could follow it. And what I do when I follow it, actually, I say anything that happens in this area, a new service request comes in, a new event happening by the city, it could be an event in a park, a music event, whatever, anything that you can imagine, I can say, I'm interested in this area. It could be the area that I live in, or it could be the area that I work in. And then you would get notified. How do you get notified? It could be via SMS, it could be via email, or you could get notified here on the website itself, which is the numbers that you see here at the top. You can just click and see your various notifications. Adding a service request itself is very simple. You just go, you mark on the map where you are or where you saw the service request, doesn't matter where. You can upload a picture, you can add, select the category, it's very easy, and you just click submit and you've submitted it. However, doing this on the website is nice, but we know that people don't actually work this way too much. What they actually do is do it on their mobile device. So, we've actually developed this also for a mobile device. Unfortunately, I can't show it to you in live, like I showed you before, because this is running in the IBM network. So I'm just going to show you with screenshots. Basically, it's a very simple application. You can do a few things with it. The first thing is you can see the same thing you saw on the website. You can open it and see what's happening and where you are. You see the flags I showed you before. And you can see them also by distance from you as a list. So you can see everything that's happening right next to you. If you want to actually report an issue where you are, all you have to do is select that option. Then you have a nice little list. You can start typing, it auto-completes it. You select where you are. You can add a picture, obviously, from your smartphone. And then you just send it, and you get notified that it was received. You can also follow the requests that you've submitted, and also the ones that you're interested in. I didn't show this before, but any of the service requests that you saw before, you can click a checkbox and say, I want to keep knowing what's happening with this one. I not only can vote for it, but I also want to get more information when it gets fixed, when somebody else comments on it, those sort of things. And we believe that all that together will help people get engaged with the city. Finally, one last thing of innovation that we've done, which is truly innovative for IBM, is we know that not everybody has smartphones. I was, for example, in Rio de Janeiro in that project that was mentioned before. We actually contributed to that as well. And most people there don't have smartphones. I don't know if you know why, but they're just afraid they're going to steal them. So what they have is what they call feature phones, just regular phones, and they can use SMS. So one thing that we allow to do with the system, and I'm going to finish with that, is basically type in very small text. You can see here, you just type huge hole in the road on 60 Green Street. That's all you need to do. And then IBM uses some text analytics technology that we have to find both the category and the place of where this is happening. It first reports to you that it was accepted, and a short while afterwards, you get this message, which shows you that it identified the address and also the category of the issue, which in this case is called a pothole. And once we have that in the city can track it. You can also get the updates, everything that you've done before through the website. You can do the same after you submit it through SMS as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Harry. So that finishes our speed pitches, our speed speeches for the afternoon. We're now going to our elective sessions. So